This is Florian. In this video I would like to show you how to set up the transcription site quantification in the batch processing module. We start again from the main interface of FISH-QUANT. We go to Tools, Batch Processing, which brings up the batch processing interface, or you might even still have it open from the quantification of the mature mRNA. As always, we start to set up the folder structure. We use the same folders as in the main interface. We first have to load the settings of the mature mRNA detection. We have to do this because it contains settings about the experimental parameters. So we go here to load. They're in the results mature folder. We load those. We can then also activate the parallel computing. We can then either add the outline files to only perform the transcription site quantification, or we can actually load the results of the mature mRNA quantification. If we do that, we can then save afterwards a summary file that summarizes the mature and the nascent mRNA quantification. So I'm going to do that. So you go to load, results of spot detection. This is again in the results mature folder. So we load those 3 files that we generated earlier that contain all of the detection results of the mature mRNA quantification. This will load those files. We can now load the settings for the transcription site quantification. They are now in the results nascent folder. FISH-QUANT will load those settings. It will show again the same plot as before for the histogram of the amplitudes. We can then analyze those settings, which will basically do the same thing as we showed before if you just want to analyze an individual transcription site. And after we're done with this, we can then press on this button down here, which will then quantify all of the transcription sites in all of the cells. We can then again use the PSF superimposition approach. A few other options here. Save results will save a text file for each of the transcription sites summarizing the results. Save figure will generate a PDF that contains a number of figures summarizing the different processing steps. And autosave will save a .mat file, so a MATLAB file that can then be used to load this quantification back. It could be if you have a lot of transcription sites and MATLAB is running overnight that MATLAB crashes, so you can use this autosave that you then can come back and load the last known status of the transcription site quantification, so you can gain time in case MATLAB would crash. This particular case I'm just going to show you how to quickly do it without enabling those options. They're also explained in more detail in the user manual. So for now I just use also the PSF superimposition approach. I will press on quantify transcription sites. While this is running, I will pause the video. It takes a few minutes and come back as soon as the quantification is done. So now the quantification is done. We're almost at the end. We can now also restrict as before the size of the transcription sites that were estimated by the PSF superimposition approach. By default it's a size of 1000 nanometers. Basically removes PSFs that were placed outside of the transcription site because there might be individual mRNA molecules. You can simply press on apply. Takes a few seconds. Now we can save a number of results files. From the main menu, save summary nascent mRNA. This saves a detailed summary file. For each of the transcription sites you will have one line that saves all the estimated parameters, how many transcripts you have with the different methods, the results of the fitting with the 3D Gaussian and things like that. I invite you to look at this file, and also at the help file where it's explained. Before we save the file, FISH-QUANT asks us to save the settings that were used for the transcription sites. So again, in this results file we will reference the settings that were used for the quantification. You could add a comment if you want. And then the most interesting file to actually analyze all of this will be save summary nascent and mature mRNA. I will save that outside in the root folder. This is a file that summarizes the mature and the nascent mRNA quantification. You can select which of the quantification methods you would like to use: integrated intensity, PSF, superposition, maximum intensity. Here I use integrated intensity. I will now show you how this file actually looks like. So we go to the results folder. We have here this file, and this will really be the entry point then to analyze your data. So you have one line for each of the cells. The first column here tells you how many mature transcripts you have in total. The second one, how many of them are in the nucleus, if you have a defined nucleus. If not, it's going to be the same number in this column here. And here you have columns for each of the transcription sites in those cells. If there is no value, there is no transcription site. If there is one, there is one transcription site, two, and so on. So basically, these values here, the last columns, really tell you all of the summary of the counting of the mature and the nascent transcripts by FISH-QUANT. With this, I want to close this tutorial and invite you to play around with FISH-QUANT. If you have questions, look at the help file or write us an email. Thank you very much.